Hi everybody, it's Julie with You to Be Healthy, and I'm coming to you today again with our Tuesday tips at 10, and I wanted to talk to you a bit about the time change. And everybody's just like, look lady, I'm really tired and sick of hearing about everything about the time change, and I don't know if I want to hear anymore. I get that, because I just wish the government would just pick one. I really don't care anymore what time zone we're in, or time frame, or whatever. Not time zone, but you know what I'm saying. See, I can't even think straight. But you understand. I wish they would just pick a time and stick with it and quit changing it back and forth. And I love the saying, that Native American saying that says only a white man would cut off a top of a blanket and sew it to the bottom and assume they have a longer blanket. I don't know if that really is a Native American saying, but pretty much resonates with most of us, right? I have never come across anyone that said, I really love the time change. Everyone is grumpy. There's lots of road rage, both on the roads and in the grocery stores. Have you ever noticed, like, people are ramming into each other with carts because they're in a really bad mood? Just an overall lack of patience, a lot of irritability. I know teachers are irritable with their students are irritable with parents and kids. Everybody's just mad at everybody. And in addition, there's health issues like weight gain, actual heart conditions, anxiety, depression. These all come with this time change. And really what it comes right down to it, we're meant to sleep when it's dark and we're meant to wake up when it's light. That is our system. Back before we had all these crazy work schedules, like a farmer, when it got dark, he went to bed, and he got up when it got light, because the rooster crowed in the morning when the sun was coming up. He didn't need an alarm clock. His body naturally woke up. That is how we're supposed to be. And even though we live in modern times, our bodies are still, genetically how it was a long time ago. And we have not changed any. Our bodies haven't changed. So somehow we got to force ourselves into this time change. Here are a few tips. If you're already getting close to 8 hours of sleep at night, you shouldn't have too much trouble transitioning. The problem comes is when we're already sleep deprived. And when we're already sleep deprived, and we start losing an extra hour, you're thinking, well, how big is an hour? It can mean a lot. That just really throws our body into a tailspin. Basically, what light does is when the sun comes up in the morning, whether it's really technically out, but when it gets light, our bodies sense that, even though our eyes are closed and such, and it starts to suppress that sleep-inducing hormone called melatonin. And of course, at night when it gets dark, it starts flooding into our system like, hey, goofball, it's time to go to sleep, or hey, wake up, it's time to get up. It's when we try to force our schedule that we're getting up super early before the sun comes up, or we're staying way, way past dark up at night. That causes the problem. So it's really important to expose yourself to the light in the morning. Open up the blinds, open up the curtains. If you read a paper or drink your coffee or something, sit by a window where you're actually getting light on your skin. That really helps, especially if it's sunlight. People are like, well, I gotta wear sunscreen. You need at least a 10-minute time where sun is actually hitting your skin to make that vitamin D, to kind of tell your body like, hey, it's time to get moving on our day. So that would be helpful. And don't expose yourself to bright light in the evening when it's dark. Watch how much time you're spending in front of a tube and on the phone and on your tablet. And if you know you have to get up really early, that may mean, as the days get longer, that you're going to bed while it's still light out. Let's just face it, our bodies, especially as we get older, needs more sleep. Get the room darkening shades, whatever you need to, but you need to get an earlier bedtime. Also, like, if you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, don't turn on the light. Most of us don't. But get a night light if you tend to stumble into things or stub your toe on the bed or trip over the dog like I do. Get a night light, that type of thing. And try to keep your eyes closed as much as possible. Men, make sure you aim, okay? I live in a house full of men. I don't want you going in the bathroom with your eyes closed, okay? You can open them just enough, aim, and shut them when you're done, okay? And moms, I know you understand that. Avoid looking at any screen, any kind of screen, TV, phone, and stuff before bed. Reading an actual book, the kind that have pages in it, the ones that are made out of paper, is still the best way to relax the mind and the body. There's just something about reading a book that just makes you go, oh, okay. And, unless you're reading a tax form, okay? In that case, you may be up all night worrying about money and, gee, did I remember to put that thing on the right line? Okay, so don't read tax forms, but you could read tax laws. That'll put you to sleep in about 10 seconds. Of course, avoid stimulating beverages. Don't drink a Mountain Dew before bed and then wonder why you can't sleep. Stay away from those energy drinks like the Monster and all that stuff. That stuff's really bad for you. You probably have less poison if you went out and drank some other chemical, because they're just full of chemicals. Don't drink them anyway. But avoid stimulating beverages. And don't get in the bad habit of drinking alcohol. I mean, when you had a really bad day and you want to hurt everybody, you kind of want to go for that giant bottle of wine. And sometimes we end up buying it by the box. Don't do that, because that just gets in a really bad habit. You'll just gain weight, and you're going to get kind of prone to like, ooh, I need that drink before bed. And we kind of all know that slippery slope that can join into. And don't use sleep meds. I really, really am against them. I know it's, even the over-counter stuff is pretty bad, but definitely not the prescription sleep meds. 99% of people don't need to go that route, and it's a cop-out. It really is. And I know it's tempting when you're night after night after night and you're not getting your sleep. I get that. I've been there. I know how tempting it is to go to the doctor and say, I don't care anymore. Just give me something so I can go to sleep. The problem with that is, oh, sure, it'll work for a while. Then all of a sudden you're going to need more and more and more. And what happens is a lot of people get addicted to them. They can't sleep without them. And let's say they get injured. Now they need some pain meds. Because they can't, because the pain meds tend to keep you awake at night. They tend to mix them with sleep aids. And that happens a lot to those people that accidentally overdose, like stars, rock stars, movie stars. They don't tend to kill themselves. Most of them don't. It's an accidental overdose. And that's really easy to get into that habit. So please don't fall into that habit of sleep aids. There are many things you can do to help yourself. And if you need some advice from somebody who's been there, let me know. I know the hassle and the trap of that. Some supplements that help that are not habit forming. Ones we have are what we call CalMegs, calcium, magnesium. Those help the muscles relax naturally, and they don't interfere with any medications you're taking. And those are really helpful if your muscles are achy and sore, because hey, the days are longer, so we're doing more. And we tend to maybe work out in the yard a little bit more than we have been lately, so our muscles tend to be sore. Chewing a couple of those calcium magnesium tablets that we have is really wonderful for helping the muscles kind of relax a little bit. Take an Epsom salt bath. I'm a big one on Epsom salt baths. If you are sore or just like, I can't wind down, take an Epsom salt bath. Those are great. And then one thing that we do have, I do recommend to a few people who are just struggling to either fall asleep or stay asleep, is our Gentle Sleep Complex, and that contains like a valerian and some chamomile, and that just helps promote some restful sleep. You cannot mix them with prescription sleep medication, so please, choose one or the other, but please don't take them together. And then keep it cool. Turn down the thermostat, and I recommend turning it down to 65 at least. Cooler if you can handle it. And with today's programmable thermostats, you can turn it to kick on 20 minutes before you get up or whatever. But if you turn down the temperature and then just put on an extra blanket if you get cold, or have one down at the bottom of the bed in case you get cold, I think it really does help the body get into a deeper sleep. When you're hot, even though you don't technically feel hot, you're restless. You don't sleep well at night. For the morning, try to, again, get exposed to sunlight and give yourself some extra time to wake up. Sometimes we just get in that routine of do this, and out the door, bam, we're gone. Give yourself some time. a little caffeine is okay. Sit by the window, drink your coffee, drink your tea. That's fine. Just don't overdo it. And always have something with you if you know driving to work, especially if you're driving to work with maybe the sun coming up. That is the worst time to be driving. If you've ever been on a road trip, it seems like the sleepiest time is right at dawn when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in a trance. I'm just nodding off. That's when I reach for my energy chews that Shaklee has, because it just kind of gives you that little bit of uplift without all the jitteriness, maybe just, want to stop at Starbucks and drink, a giant cup of espresso and then go like, I'm driving like this. Don't do that. And keep your exercise routine, but you may have to dial it back a little bit. If you're normally going at a really hard pace, maybe dial it back because your just body's a little on the fatigue side, but keep your exercise routine and be kind to yourself and make sure you're not making huge decisions. If you're really, really tired and grumpy, maybe now's not a good time to go in and ask that boss for a raise, okay? Because one, you're probably not going to present your best self, and two, your boss is probably grumpy too. So maybe put that off a week or two. And then it will take a week or so for your body to get back in rhythm, but just be kind to yourself and take a deep breath, count to 10, maybe count to 100, whatever it takes for your temper before you go off on someone, because chances are they're not normally that annoying. They're just as grumpy and sleepy as you are. Usually for giveaway for something free for my Tuesday tips, but what we have coming tomorrow is a really wonderful thing that's coming in. We have a speaker, a financial planner, coming in to speak for free. And our Financial Freedom 101 classes that says discover why you want a financial advisor even if you don't have any money. And at first I was like, well, I don't really have a lot of money to invest, so why do I need a financial advisor if I don't really have a lot of money, spare money to invest? It goes beyond that. And he's going to talk to not only people who may be going into a higher tax bracket as the tax laws change, because, that's a moving target. But he's also going to have some tips for maybe parents with kids, small kids starting out. How do we save? How do you save when you don't really have any extra money? And so he's going to provide some tips. And he's a really sought-after speaker, and I highly recommend you join us. It's tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Time. And I'm going to put the link to register down below. If you can come, wonderful. We'd love to have you. If you can't make it and say, hey, I got little kids, I can't make it at 8:30, just register anyway. And say, hey, and then shoot me a message and say, hey, Julie, I really would like to hear what this guy has to say, but I can't make that time. I can get you the recorded version later. So just go ahead and register anyway, and then shoot me a message and say, I'd love to have the recording afterwards because I'm not going to be able to make that time. All right? I always look at it as, even if the guy says everything I already know, if I get one little thing out of it, it's worth 30 minutes of my time. Because normally paying a financial advisor to get some advice is pretty costly. So if you get an opportunity like this to get something for free, go for it. All right, I'll put the link in below, so give me a couple minutes. I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday, and if it's sunny where you're out, by all means, get outside. Thanks, guys. Have a great